The next guest, Fawaz Faikir, he is from Old Mutual. He is the manager of the Old Mutual ESG Equity Fund. Fakir, please continue.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to talk about sustainable investing, or responsible investing as it's often known, and what us as Old Mutual Limited is doing about it, and also us as where I come from, Old Mutual Investment Group, what we are doing about it, and then to showcase an exciting new product in this space that we've launched earlier this year. So to get straight into it, sustainable investing really is deeply rooted in theory. It's not just, for tree huggers or, a nice to have. It actually makes a lot of intuitive sense. So if you look at the traits of, sustainable companies, they tend to use their resources more efficiently, for instance. They use things such as their fuel, water, electricity more efficiently. And, it results in cost savings and ultimately higher profits and higher returns for investors. Also, companies that look after their staff and invest in their staff, they tend to retain their staff much longer and tend to attract better talent. So, it's really not about being a tree hugger. It just absolutely makes sense for companies to show these traits and these attributes. Same goes a well-governed company. There's many research studies that show that well-governed companies have much stronger stakeholder relations. So these are really desirable attributes, once again, from a theoretical perspective. So that's in theory. How does it actually look in practice? There's a study by Morgan Stanley that was done amongst many other studies that, over the last 5 years and all shorter time periods as well, that, socially responsible investments do better or perform better than non-socially responsible investments. There's numerous studies that support this. Not only this, but it's also shown to be lower risk. So higher return, lower risk in reality. So that theory really translates into actual performance. And there's a wave that's coming, and we've all heard about sustainable investing, we've all heard about ESG, we've all heard about responsible investing, and this wave is coming whether we like it or not. But traditional finance still focuses on just the financial factors within investing and ignores the sort of the longer term impacts. And it's slowly and surely we're clawing, and one of these days, everybody will be incorporating sustainable investing in one way or another. Whether we like it or not, it's here, and we have to move as a whole industry to effect meaningful change and to have proper power and meaningful impact. Moving to Old Mutual Limited, what we do as the Old Mutual Group, we have many streams of sort of responsible investing, and these total to around 133 billion. They are measurable, they're quantifiable at any point in time, and 131 of this 133 billion sits with Old Mutual Investment Group, where I'm from. And how it works is, in a nutshell, we are the engine behind Old Mutual Limited. We are the investment engine that drives all the investments. So you take out a policy with Old Mutual Limited, a life assurance policy, that gets invested with us, and then on payment of that policy, we plow back our responsible investing back into the payments at the end of the day. So if you take out a life policy with Old Mutual Limited, this is essentially being invested responsibly. Within Old Mutual Investment Group, within the 131 billion, we have a unlisted division called Alternative Investments. Within the 52 billion that they manage, I want to focus on two particular buckets. One being infrastructure, which is 26 billion large in size, and the other one being impact investing. And infrastructure is really things such as transport, renewable energy, power generation. These are invested directly into South Africa's economy and for social upliftment and, for social good, to address all our social ills. It's very high impact investing, as you know, as well as the impact investing bucket, which is focuses on things like education, low-cost housing, and these are, as I say, high impact direct investments into the economy that addresses our social issues and contributes to our economy. And if you total these two buckets up, it comes to roughly 35 billion that's deployed in this space by our unlisted alternatives division. Moving on to the listed equity space, so where we invest in listed equities on the stock markets. There's a study done by New York Life Investments, which sort of separated the different categories of sustainable investing, and they've come up with these buckets that you see on screen. And Old Mutual Investment Group, in their listed capability, we play in every single one of these buckets, from ESG integration to impact investing to active stewardship, the engagement side, to norms-based screening. So we have capabilities in each one of these spaces, and really, I don't think there's a single investment decision that's done without incorporating some element of sustainable investing within Old Mutual Investment Group. So we are serious about this, and we do this at a group level, we do this at the investment group level, and we've been doing it for a while. If I zone in on the more focused ESG product, so if you're more of a purist and don't want indirect integration, or you don't want it via balanced fund, we have dedicated capabilities on the shelf. The Old Mutual MSCI World ESG and MSCI Emerging Markets ESG Funds has been around for a while. We're the first to launch in South Africa. And they've been doing quite well. And we've just launched the Old Mutual ESG Equity Fund in June this year. I personally manage that fund. I'll zone in to that fund in about a minute's time. But also, I think important to note that there's many different products in the pipeline in the purest ESG or sustainable investing space, which, we have a global fund to be launched soon and a balanced fund to be launched soon. And then backing these products, we probably have arguably the most actively engaged team on the stewardship side within South Africa. We have a highly influential and highly experienced team there that backs and engages with companies on investors' behalf across the entire group. I'm going to focus just for a short while on the Old Mutual ESG Equity Fund. We launched this fund in June this year, and really it's the first of its kind within South Africa for a few reasons, so I'll just touch on those reasons. The first is we use our own proprietary ESG or sustainability data. So we subscribe to data from numerous research houses. We then take the research and we use it in a way that not only makes intuitive sense for South Africa, but it also contributes to better performance at the end of the day. And I think we're the only people that do this. As well as we make a promise to clients. And the promise we make is that we'll always have 20% higher exposure to ESG, highly rated ESG companies at all times. This is tangible, this is measurable, and if you invest in our fund, you're going to get this. Coupled with this, you're also getting 40% lower carbon footprint. And once again, tangible, measurable, and when I say lower, I mean than the general market, than the general equity market. So if you have tangible goals, you invest in this fund, you can actually measure and keep track where you are with your outcomes. But not only that, we're not just investing in ESG stats. We're actually looking at stocks and stocks that have good attributes. We're looking at good quality companies. We're looking at companies with high growth prospects. We're looking at good return on equity, good return on assets, companies that are well capitalized, companies that have good free cash flow, companies that are well priced. So I think in addition to what most funds do, they give you some ESG angle, some sustainability angle, but they're not as return seeking as we are as well. We're investing in companies at the end of the day, so we look at it from a much more holistic approach. And this product's enjoyed some really good performance. These are back-tested numbers as the fund only launched in June. But I mean, even since June, we've sort of showed some decent performance, some good outperformance of the benchmark. And if you look at the back-tested numbers, over no 3-year rolling period have we underperformed our benchmark. And for those that are interested, our benchmark that we use for this fund is the capped SWIX index. So to conclude, I've touched on many of these reasons why to invest in the fund and what the fund offers you. But I think I'm going to leave everyone with a question, and that is, if sustainable investing is deeply rooted in theory, if it offers better returns, if it has lower risk, and if it's doing good for, for the economy, for the planet, for society, why would anyone not consider it as part of their portfolio? Thank you very much.
Thavas, I think ESG is a very interesting investment development philosophy, but it's relatively new in South Africa. And do you see investors saying, listen, I want to be responsible, I want to invest in an ESG fund? Is that the specific demand there?
Yes, absolutely. So we've seen a big shift globally, as you know, into sustainable investing. And South Africa tends to lag a bit behind the global. We sort of first watch what materializes globally, and then we latch on. And definitely now is the time we're getting a lot of interest. I can't say we're seeing huge flows into the space yet, but it's definitely, I feel that it's definitely coming. There's lots of interest. I often never ever have to sell the sustainability or the responsibility thesis because people know what it's about. It's just about, can it really give them what we're promising, and just it's more of a first mover situation. As soon as people start moving in South Africa, I'm sure we're going to see a big wave come.
Yeah. The investment universe for you, how big is it? Because, if I look at the JSE, I can think of 4 or 5 really environmentally friendly type of businesses. How big is that universe?
It's a good question. So the entire benchmark we look at has about 160 stocks in. What we invest in once we do our screening and we take out companies that don't, sort of that aren't, like for Sasol, for instance, it's a fossil fuel company. We take Sasol out and we screen certain companies out. We're left with around 140 stocks to invest in. So it's still a nice broad range. But then out of that 140, we look for, these good ESG or sustainability traits in, and we're left with a portfolio of around 70 stocks.
Is that the number of stocks in the portfolio?
That's the number of stocks, between 70 and 80.
In which stock do you have the biggest holding?
At the moment, our biggest holding is Clicks Group.
Interesting.
Yes.
Thavas, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks,
Thavas Faikir from Old Mutual.